On to the next interesting discussion. We're going to have Joris van Hoboken, our research lead on the legal track, in conversation with Eline de Jong. And she's a talented young researcher translating her work on AI to what does it mean for quantum. Come on stage.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, Eline.
Hi.
So good to be here on stage together.
Yeah.
I'm super excited with the whole dynamic. It's like I think the character of the action line and also the center is quite clearly to get people involved and to connect. And you're, I think, one of the people that we're very excited about got connected. You're working on the Quantum Impact Assessment Working Group. And so as a start of the interview, it was mentioned already, you were involved in AI work, in particular the work that the Dutch Council for the Council for Government Policy did. And there was quite an impactful report that came out that you were involved in. And one of the the kind of main approach that the report took was to look at AI as a system technology. And so I wanted to start the conversation where you explain maybe to the audience a little bit what that means to look at something as a system technology.
Yeah. So indeed, I started with artificial intelligence, but then I really fell in love with quantum technology, like all of you, I think. But during that project at the VAR, we characterized artificial intelligence as a system technology, and we coined that term ourselves, referring to technologies with a systemic impact on society. So system technologies do not have one single application, they're not limited to a single domain, but instead they affect society at large. And based on our experience with earlier system technologies like electricity, the combustion engine, the computer, we identified 5 crucial aspects of the process of embedding these technologies within society. And please allow me to briefly touch upon these 5 challenges because I think that they are all relevant for quantum technology as well. So the first is demystification, which is about countering unrealistic perceptions about a technology. The second is contextualization, which is about creating, facilitating socio-technical ecosystem. The third is engagement, which is about involving a diversity of stakeholders. The fourth is regulation, which is about developing adequate regulatory frameworks. And the fifth is positioning, which is about how we position ourselves internationally. And as a society, we should address these 5 challenges in order to responsibly and successfully embed a new system technology within society. And I think that this is a really useful framework to think about how we can prepare society for quantum technology as well.
So, and you actually already wrote about that. I just want to mention, Eline wrote a wonderful publication in the journal Digital Society. And I think the article is called An Anticipatory Approach to Preparing Society for the Quantum Age, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
And there you actually, I think you show, how useful it can be to think about quantum technology as a system technology. So my question is, of course, I think these are already these 5 kind of key directions or perspectives to take with respect to something like a big kind of set of technologies like AI or quantum. That's already very powerful. But I want to push you a little bit further and to say, what particular lessons can we draw when we apply this framework or we apply these perspectives to the field of quantum technologies? Can you share a little bit from your thinking and the work that you did on this already?
Yeah, I will share my takeaways so you don't have to read the whole paper. Now, so I started with the assumption that quantum technology is a system technology in the making. And I applied the framework to explore what these 5 challenges entail in the context of quantum technology. So basically what I did was if we have this fully functioning quantum computer, what else do we need to make this a fully functioning quantum computer within society? And following the framework, the answer to that question is that we should debunk myths about quantum technology, that we should create this ecosystem with the right skills, the right attitudes, the right hardware, software, infrastructure, etc. That we should democratize the development and the implementation of quantum technology, that we should ensure adequate regulation, and that we should make strategic decisions about our international position. And all of these challenges apply, but you could say that at this current state of quantum technology, there are challenges that are more relevant, such as demystification, I think, and that other challenges like regulation will become more relevant as the technology matures. But still, so the takeaway of my paper is that on top of these technical, theoretical, and engineering challenges that we face, we also face these structural challenges when we want to embed quantum technology within society.
So maybe we can talk a little bit further about some of those particular challenges. I do also want to mention I know actually Eline also has some questions, not for me, but actually for you, for the audience. And so we're going to get you into the conversation a little bit with this as well. So maybe the one that you mentioned, and demystification, it's a challenge that caught our eye too. We organized the session. Julia Kramer was the lead on that at the last network meeting of Quantum Delta NL. And I think it proved to be a very important one. I think it was a kind of conversation that the whole community felt like it's very important to have. And but maybe you can say a little bit about that also. Like I think you had a question also for the audience on this particular challenge.
Yeah. So let me elaborate a little bit on the challenge. So demystification is about the question: what are we actually talking about? And that's a really hard question in the case of quantum technology. And we see already myths appearing around quantum technology, that it produces these somewhat magical machines solving all kinds of problems. And it's really important to debunk these myths, because expectations that are overly positive or overly negative, they hinder responsible and successful use of the technology. So demystification in the context of quantum technology would entail that we promote familiarity with the technology, that we create awareness about the possibilities, that we stimulate this basic understanding of quantum technology, because these are requirements for participating in a societal debate about how we want to use it in society, what the risks are, what the opportunities are. So the hard thing, of course, with quantum technology, as I mentioned, is its complexity, but also the fact that it might be a more distant technology compared to AI, for example. Most of us won't directly interact with it. But that only brings us to the question, what is the kind of knowledge that we need to have to be able to join the societal debate about it? So my question to the audience would be, what myth should we get rid of immediately in order to have a meaningful societal debate about quantum technology?
Who wants to pick up that challenge? I see already a hand. So,
I mean,
what is the number one myth to get out of?
That it doesn't exist yet.
That's a very interesting one. Yeah.
Any other myths?
Reke?
That it will be used in warfare in the short term.
That it has a direct kind of and rather immediate use in the military space. Yeah. Any other myths?
Maybe one, my name is Koen Groenland from QSoft. Maybe one that I like to address very often is that this machine will just readily spit out all kinds of fantastic results when it's been built.
Yeah, the magical machine. Yeah. Thank you. So it's really good to be attentive to this kind of myths that appear and to address them immediately, because they really are in the way of having a meaningful societal debate.
Like in a sense, though, I can imagine also they're quite. I mean, especially when you look, for instance, like more kind of popular culture and things. You know, like you watch the latest science fiction movie or one from even 20 years ago, and there's all sorts of quantum stuff. You know, like so a lot of people get maybe their first impression of quantum technology is through more popular culture and entertainment, and so this is one of the maybe key differences with other types of technologies that are more mature. There are so many people that the large majority of people they don't have like knowledge about what it actually is and the kinds of images they have. They're not necessarily corresponding with the actual technology. So would you have any suggestions for us how to tackle this problem? I see also Julia looking attentively. This is of course Julia Kramer's research line. Yeah.
Well, I'm a philosopher, so I'm good at bringing problems and not answering them. So, no, but I think it's really important to reflect on the question: what is the kind of knowledge that people need to have a meaningful conversation about possible societal impact? Because I think it's not necessary to exactly know everything about quantum theory and to know everything about how quantum sensors work. So, but that's also what Deborah mentioned, that we should seek the right balance between making it accessible but not oversimplifying things.
Maybe like to pick up also on something that I think from the start with our action line and with the center, like kind of as front center for this new technology, for quantum technologies, they're very early stage of development. We want to start thinking about these more societal and ethical and legal issues really early. So we don't make the same mistake as with other technologies. And we help or we manage, to steer the technology in a positive direction. So one thing that strikes me is that maybe we can be too optimistic about the possibility for us to steer the direction of technology. And I know you have thoughts about this. So I want to maybe ask you, like, so in Dutch you say, the maakbare samenleving, like there's really this way that we can control our future, we can really control our destiny. So what would you tell us in terms of like, how optimistic can we be, or, like what is our potential, like, and how can we optimize the potential to steer the technology in the right direction?
Well, I think it's a very good question. I also think that the framework offers a really good answer to it, as I think that the framework of the 5 challenges provide a realistic approach to what we can do. So if there's one thing that the history of system technologies teaches us, is that it is impossible to predict how these technologies will be used in the future and what the consequences of these uses will be. So it's really important to acknowledge this factor of uncertainty and to realize that the development of quantum technology can also take unexpected directions. It probably will. At the same time, the framework shows that with these 5 challenges, how we can anticipate that process and how we can shape and direct that process. And I also think that this center can play an important role here as the societal conscience, so to say, during that process, by actively reflecting on the ethical, legal and societal aspects of the development of quantum technology, but also, very important, by proactively envisioning what we want the role of quantum technology to be in society. So no pressure for the center.
Thank you so much. I think we're going to go for some quick round of questions. Julia, yeah.
Can I use this opportunity to ask a question myself? Thank you, it's very interesting. I have like 20 questions. But in light of what Deborah started with, this video of someone in the 1960s to make a vision of what life would look like now, and there are things wrong and there are things right, how can we distinguish between myths, which will never be right, and that actually hinder the envisioning of quantum technology in the future, and building scenarios openly and think about what the future will look like?
Yeah, I think being aware of it is half of the work, and there are no silver bullets. So there's no one solution to be sure that you're not after a myth. But it is important to realize that these challenges are ongoing. They are timeless, and they can change during time, and they can change, differ between places. But these are the things that we have to work on for years. We are still working on the embedment of the car, for example, because the car evolves. So also in the case of quantum technology, it's important that we continuously address these challenges and keep each other sharp while doing that.
Thanks. Yeah.
Maybe one question, remark, comment from the audience.
Thank you. Just the day before I came, I had...
Can you stand up and also mention your name and organization?
Albana Shala. The day before I came, I just had another conversation. It was with a director of a school, Kleine Amsterdam. And basically she was saying that half of the children, when they are 12 years old, get advice to go to VMBO. And then the other half, 60% of them, 20, and then another 20 HAVO, another 20 VWO. Now, if you think of that in 10 years' time, they are going to see quantum technology at a different stage of development, is there something that you could give in terms of how we are going to educate these children about quantum? And especially that 60% that looks like it drops completely out of the basket.
Yeah. So I think that this touches upon the challenge of engagement, which, but I mean the general challenge is engagement, which is about involving a diversity of stakeholders, the diversity of people, diversity of groups, involving different interests, and you can address that challenge in multiple ways. So it's also about not only involving highly educated people during the process of the development of quantum, for example, but also involve people that will feel the consequences of a quantum application. I don't know if that's a good question. That's a good answer to your question, but it's really. So this challenge of engagement is about involving different interests early from the start, but also during the whole life cycle of a technology. But it also touches upon the challenge of demystification, which partly is about education and promoting a basic understanding of the technology and familiarity among the general public.
Yeah, maybe just to add like a very short comment, like we are Action Line 4, there's another quite large action line that is all about education. We're obviously with our action line, we really, we are really focused on maximizing the engagement, like with all sorts of different stakeholders and groups. And but the education part of Quantum Delta NL is of course a very important way to address these kinds of things too. Eline, thank you so much for this wonderful conversation, and thank you also for your eagerness and thinking along and the work that you've been doing in this space. And we are really looking forward to continue to collaborate, of course.
Thank you for having me.